When I started YouTube, I said all the money, revenue, whatever you want to call it, that I did end up making, I was going to try to keep in a pot, and anything that benefited on y'all's end, I was going to use. So the first thing on my mind, some bright floors. I've already did half the shop. I know what I'm doing, so we got a lot of work to do. I'll let you follow along on how it works. First thing I did, went to Lowe's. You can see this is actually from Lowe's a few years ago. Didn't do a good job, but it's actually held up. I've welded on it, I've burned it, I've dropped stuff, so it's not perfect. So my first instinct was to go back to Lowe's, get the same product. So I did, and I sit down and did the math. I was like, this is gonna cost a fortune to do it right. I wanna do it good this time, clear coat. After I bought it, I come back home, clicked on the internet, and shopped around, and this brand kept popping up. I think it's called ArmorPoxy. Maybe it's just called Armor. I don't know, I'll tag it in there somewhere or another. But I got to doing the math, and by the time you bought enough clear to do it from Lowe's or any other option, this was such a better value. And every freaking review I can find is like really good. So I decided I'd try it. Like I said, you can tell I've got all this cleaned out. I was prepped up to here. I've got to finish prepping there, which I'll show you. And like I said, I've already done half my shop, and so far I've been working off of it. Have no complaints, everything's working good. First day I did drop an entire differential carrier and it chipped the floor, so I'm gonna fix that. But a couple negative Nancy's walked by, they're like, you're just gonna scratch it, you're just gonna drop it. I was like, it's the same principle as people that wash their car. You're gonna wash it, it's gonna get dirty again, but this is the same principle here. So I like it. Main reason I'm doing it, I've got new lights, that's not part of the video, but light goes down, light hits the floor, light reflects up. So as far as camera goes, y'all will be able to see so much better on camera what I'm doing under vehicles. I'm gonna get everything opened up and we'll talk about that. And then I've got some work to do. So before unboxing it, I had to move all the furniture out of the way. This is what it looked like. We'll just start opening boxes, see what I got. So this is the basically primer. I mean, I don't feel like I need to explain. You don't have to do the primer, but I did the primer, and then you don't have to do the clear coat. I did the clear coat, and then I went ahead and got the higher grade clear coat. So I want to do this one good time because I did the crappy stuff 10 years ago and it's still doing decent. So my theory is if I spend the money, this should last me a pretty good while. Alright, so I got everything unboxed. Right here is your primer. Like I said, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Some of these mix 2 to 1, some of them mix 1 to 1. I'm not even going to stress it that way. You read the instructions and you didn't say that I said something I didn't say, or I may have said it, made a mistake. But that's the primer. Like I said, we'll get it all prepped and we'll put that on. It's just pretty common sense. Then this is the clear coat. It's obviously for last. And then comes with these. And like right here, you get this one. You're like, well, it's only halfway full. Actually, maybe only a third of the way. But you get this one, and it's a gallon, and this is half a gallon, but it mixes 2 to 1. So just pay attention. So got that. You'll be using this to mix it up. We'll get to that step. Then I've got a whole lot more I got to put on too. So ironically, when I did this, that's why I did it kind of in half. I was like, I bought the 600 square foot kit, and I was going to see how far it actually made it. That way I knew what to buy next. So I've got the same kit, should have more than enough. I actually had extra epoxy left over. So if you had like some holes or cracks, you probably could have used the epoxy to fill it in, but I did use all the primer and I used all the clear. Had a little bit of clear left over too. So primer must do its job because it wore out fast. And we'll get to this. This is what goes in the clear coat, and it's not, but I'm basically just going to call it sand. It mixes in and to make traction. I made a small mistake. When we get to that, I'll explain that. Rollers, tools, I recommend the gloves. I'll show you why when I get there. The spike shoes, I made fun of them. I actually wound up using them. They make it really easy to walk around and do whatever you need to do. And then this is their muriatic acid. It etches the concrete, makes it stick. So we got that, but we got to get to that part. So this just got to chill out. Muriatic acid, and like I said, it's done pretty good. I can't complain at all. This side, I wanted to do it the best I could. So I may clip in a picture. I went to United Rentals, rented this concrete resurfacer, paid freaking $200 to rent it. No, $250 per day. Then I had to buy $130 a piece tips to go on the thing to do it. Anyway, I bought them, come home. I rode that thing straight for the entire 24-hour rental, and it did nothing. Ellie's proud of the floor. So this is the thing I got made fun of on YouTube, but it actually worked really good. Harbor Freight, just a grinder attachment, and they make like a vacuum one that goes over it. Luckily, I've got drains in my floor, so I'll be using water. So you can imagine the rougher it is, probably the better it sticks, and you can see, if you get real close, you can see just some scratch marks in the concrete. That's got to be good for it to stick. So I did make like a gouge here and there. Can't even hardly tell. Like I said, if you walk around, you might can pick out just a little spot there. I'm pretty sure that's the jobs of the sprinkles. Just breaks up the pattern and he takes out the imperfections. So they did say to go ahead and get all the old epoxy off. I didn't right there, but I'm gonna do that with that grinder. And I gotta get all this cleaned up. And once I get all the epoxy off, we'll rinse it off. And then we'll start working on the etching compound. They say you don't have to do like this grinder if you've got good concrete, but I just want to do it right and make sure it stays on for a good while. So next step, I'm gonna get all that took care of. Well, that was officially a job, but I wanted to stick, so like I said, you don't have to do this, but I wanted it to work. Got everything kind of dry where I can see where I've missed. A couple of these spots, I guess they're just low spots and the grinder won't get down in there, but now that it's dry, I may come back and do a little more. And then even like right here where I had some leftover, it does say scuff it if it's been sitting for too long. But I went and picked up some, what I'm gonna call filler. I had these cracks filled in, and I wasn't planning on doing this side, but I've got this crack I gotta fill it in. And just like I said, a few more spots I'm gonna touch up with that grinder. Then we'll move on to the acid etch and let it dry. Carry on from there. One thing I forgot to add, if you see like right over here, well, it's not dry yet, but that concrete dust, that's why I was stressing getting all that washed down to the drain. And if you don't have drains, I'm sorry, but that helps out. Last time I did the same thing, went to lunch, come back, and all that concrete dust had re-dried. It eventually come up, but it was very stuck. All right, I believe I probably missed a couple spots, but I believe we're gonna be okay. Got everything ready. I was trying to scuff this stuff up with that grinder. My gosh, it's tough. That could be better. We're gonna ride with it. Now, I'm just gonna do this etch. This time I'm not gonna do both. Last time I did both and they did about the same thing, so. All right, I got hot water, so that makes everything just blend together better. I don't think I'm gonna need this whole bag. So we're just gonna start putting water in, and then just kind of pour up inside there. That's pretty much all you gotta do. So now I've got it mixed up. The one thing they did say, go ahead and just dampen the concrete, because I go ahead and tell you 2 gallons is not gonna cover all that. I think that's why it's called concentrate, because you spread it out and then you just got to spray just a little bit. Otherwise you'd be spraying forever. I'm gonna get that sprayed out and then get a broom and just kind of push it around, basically all you gotta do. Not trying to over soak nothing, you're gonna push it around, but just make it rain, literally. Gonna try to work in this one little area right here, and then we'll work around. Yeah. You don't have one of these, I'm sure they're like 10 bucks. And it's pretty cool, when you start spraying it on, it'll start smoking. It did say use in a well ventilated area. My shop is well ventilated, so I'm good on that. I'll use about half of it. Now, pretty simple. You're just gonna do this right here. Just push it around. Push some of the water to places it needs to be. Then after I get done with that, I'm gonna work on this area. I'll let that soak. And when I get done with that one, pre-soak the next one. Probably rinse this one. Just keep working your way around there, but nothing to it. All right, next day you can see floor is dry. It's ready for some paint, epoxy, whatever we want to call it. If you can see, I had some left over the other day. That's the primer. I guess it's some form of epoxy. So my shop, I'm not being too particular, but just around 2x4s and some hard stuff. Got the brush. We'll mix it in a cup, and it says it mixes 1-to-1. So probably gonna get like a McDonald's cup or something. Then I'm just gonna pick out like a spot, and then I'll pour the same amount of epoxy in the cup twice, and then pour it in there, mix it up. Probably just gonna use the sticks that come with, not gonna worry about this thing yet, and then get all the stuff touched up. All right, my mom's cheap labor, but she won't be on camera. Understand that. But I had just enough of the primer. And it goes on kind of funky looking, but it doesn't matter because it's gonna be covered up with your epoxy. But I had just a little bit left over, so right through here where it's all chewed up from stuff dropping and stuff like that, I just kind of poured it out, put the excess on there. See, daggone flies already landed in there. See another one. That's what crazy. I just cleaned this last night or yesterday, and this morning I walked out with a leaf blower, and if you could see the amount of bugs and dog hair and crap, but I used leaf blower, get everything off there. Now, not really much to see, but we let her dry, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, I feel like I just said this, but this is the next morning. It's dried off, and I don't know if you can see, but like right there, there's bugs dead there. There's another bug. There's another bug. There's a bug, there's a bug, so crazy. So I'm gonna get all that stuff blowed off, and then it's on to the main course. Number one, have your flakes ready. If you're ready, these are some, well, they're a different breed, but I've got them mixed up. Should have plenty. You can see, got them done there. They want you to practice throwing them. I'll kind of just show you what I do when I get there, but have them ready and be ready for those. I kind of laughed at the spike shoes. I was like, oh, I won't need those. I won't need those. But first coat, don't really need them. But when it gets to the clear coat, I actually use these. So I scooted this back to this little piece here instead of up there. And I don't actually wear shoes. I just wear my bare feet. my shoes kept sliding around and I was breaking my ankles. So like I said, do your reading. This stuff mixes 2 parts to 1. So if you notice, like this one has a gallon and then this one has, can't see it, but it says half a gallon. And the only downside I don't really like, I understand, is they want you to mix just, got a little spillage going on there. Golly, that whole bucket's busted. Oh crap. Hold on. Alright, luckily it don't matter, but I don't know, since this one, the gray is leaking, and this is the bucket that is in, it's not enough to worry about. I may use it if I have to. But where I was going is, in the instructions, they want you to take that, I think 1.5 gallons, and then that full gallon, and then mix them together in a bucket and spin it to make sure that you get the exact gray that you need. I understand it. It's a little bit of aggravating, so what I'm gonna do, again, 2 parts to 1. So this is half gallon, which means it needs to go to 1.5 gallons, be 1 gallon to 1/2 gallon. So I'm gonna pour a splash of that in there, and then pour a splash of that into here, get it up to 1.5 gallons, and then pour it into this one, mix it up. Beep, beep, beep. Don't overdo it, because I mixed up too much the first time, and this stuff actually starts hardening pretty fast, so be ready for it. And before it dries, you gotta throw your sprinkles on, so be ready. I'm gonna mix mine up and go for it. I was so nervous on the first batch of this I did. Now, not saying I'm not nervous, but I'm not as nervous as I was before, because it's a pretty big deal. This is the one that got dirty. This one, give it a little shake. I'm gonna look at it, see what it looks like. This gray does come on solution mixed. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Give it a little more shake. Alright, so if I do my math right, I'm going to put approximately 1/3 of a gallon, maybe a little less, of the big one, and then we'll do the rest in a small jug. Oh, it's expensive. Might just get new gloves after this. Now we need to go to 1.5 gallons. This may honestly be too much for a first timer. You may only want to mix about 1/2 gallon, because this is going to go pretty quick as far as drying wise. Yeah, this may be way too much. Okay. Well, I'm committed. I was going to use this, but I don't think it's going to fit, so I'm going to the bucket. Whoop. Yeah, I may not get good camera scenes because I'm going to have to work my butt off. I'll film. Luckily, it's only about 100 degrees in the shop. Actually, it's, yeah, about 100. Alright, now mix it real good. Oh boy, work time, let's go. Alright, I'll show you just the first little couple rolls, and then I gotta lay the camera down and get to work, because I'm pretty sure this is gonna be way too much. This stuff you just pour straight out, and then just roll it on from there. I personally haven't had good luck with the squeegee. I mean, this stuff just about as common sense as it gets. I forgot the worst part. I was supposed to edge it out first. Crap, I may have to do that last. Alright, like I said, nothing really to see here. Just be ready and don't screw around, because it's going to start drying on you pretty quick. I'm gonna get this knocked out. I ain't gonna time lapse it because it's gonna look like I'm rubbing gray on gray. All right, so it's gray on gray, but maybe you can tell that 1.5 gallons made it, I'm gonna say over 1/3 of the way. So we should be good on material. Probably gonna get thick right in here because that's where I work the most. But now I went ahead and slipped on these spike shoes. I'm gonna see if I can get a few of them flakes on there. And I do admit that sucks. I was supposed to edge it out first because now the sprinkle situation will be a little bit off, but I don't think nobody will notice. I got pretty close. So make sure mine was kind of stuck together, so kind of roll them around in your hand, make sure they're all good. Get you a handful and literally throw it at the sky. Like, I know you want to throw it down at them, but like, about right. Don't try to throw it at a spot, throw it like over the spot. About right. So now, like the spike shoes, you can step on it, and when you step off of it, it'll fill back in. Just trying to match what I did on the other side. So now I've got the sprinkles on, maybe hard to see, but got a few that come over the edge like right there, like right there. They say just paint over, you'll never even notice. So sprinkles are optional, but like right here, you can see how you see all these defects and stuff. That's just to bust it up in my opinion. So if you got defects, the sprinkles will kind of just cancel them out. I mean, they're still there, but it just kind of bust up the area. Put them on, and then you got a clear coat, but that was 1.5 gallons, so I'm gonna mix up probably 1 gallon this time. Be a little slower pace. I worked my butt off on that right there. It was starting to dry when I got right over there. All right, maybe this looks as good on camera as it does in real life. That's what's crazy, it sucks. The clear coat, I'll get to that part in a minute, but the clear coat actually takes some shine out of it, unless you do it another way. But hopefully that line disappears. I'm pretty sure it will. It'll dry a little different color, but luckily my light switch is over there, so I'm just gonna open the door and then reach in, turn the lights off. Can't go home. Can't go to my YouTube room. That's one thing I learned on a comment off YouTube is this floor is obviously bright now, and with lights on, the bugs go to bright stuff. So if you turn the lights off, bugs don't, I guess they don't do nothing. I don't know. One thing I will say, if you think you're not gonna make a mess, you're gonna make a mess. This table was probably garbage after this, but got it all done. Actually had just a little bit of epoxy left over, so I'm gonna save that for spare. And right here, I put it on pretty thick, so glad they send too much epoxy. That's what I've personally never done this 2 or 3 times. I've personally never used the squeegee. I don't know, I just never used it. But we'll let her dry and then clear coat it and good to go. All right, next morning, you can see ball of hair. I do have a black cat, ball of hair. Like there's another one right there. Waltz got stuck in there. Another waltz. That's crazy, another ball of hair. So I'm gonna get everything cleaned off and touch up around the edges, and then we'll work on the clear. I'll probably elaborate more when I get there, but that's what sucks. It's so glossy right now. And then I know this is dirty, but you can tell this is not as glossy. All right, I gotta show you something that's actually pretty crazy. Not this, we'll get there, but I've got everything edged. I threw some extra flakes out, so I gotta leaf blow them, get them off here, and we're ready for clear. Let's see. Yeah, it's 2 to 1, so I guess part A is 2 parts, and then that's 1 part. So that's actually, one of them is only half full, so I'll elaborate on this in just a second, but this is what I was saying. Obviously, I've been walking around on this floor, and it was dry, and it looks clean. Check this out. Yesterday, I went to turn the lights out, and I was like, oh, it's just dry enough. Camera adjust. Look at that. Look at all them footprints. That's crazy. I don't even know. Let me just gonna turn the light on. And there you go. So I don't think I'm actually gonna wipe them up. I think the clear will probably cover it all up. My dog did sneak in here and get one little footprint. We're just gonna leave them for memories. This stuff, when I get it open, I'll show you, is basically, like I said pretty sure before, in my opinion, it's pretty much the sand. almost wonder if you could just throw it on when you get done, kind of like you do the sprinkles. But somewhere right in here, this Jeep's kind of in the way. Maybe right there you can see. The sand wants to fall out of solution with this stuff. So you can see how rough it is right there. And then right here, it's real glossy and smooth. So the sand, or whatever I'm calling it, is for traction. If you was just doing this just to look good in your shop, I probably wouldn't use this stuff. But it's not that big of a deal to me, and I kind of want it to not slip and fall because I got drains in the floor. It's usually wet in here. So I'm trying to get it to stick in there. When I get it mixed up, I'll show you, but gotta get these chips blowed off and go from there. I'm ready to burn this table. Just everything on it, just burn it. All right, last final step. Let's make sure to do this right. This is what got me confused the other day. This mix is 2 to 1, and common sense here, that's bigger, so that means that blah, 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 blah. But see where it's 1/4 of a gallon, so if you multiplied that by 2, would be 1/2 gallon. So that's two parts per 1. Make sure, like this is dry. I used it last time I did the floor over here, but I wouldn't risk using anything that had any color in it that was wet. Because if you mix it into clear, but you can see this is like, it's just like sand. I mean, this smell like salt, something like that. So I'm gonna pour all that in there, all that. This rolls on, but you use a pan. And this is the pan I used last time, and if you can see, it's just sandy stuff, just falls out of solution. So this side of the shop is not as much work related as that side, so not as concerned about it, but it says 1/2 can per gallon, so this is only gonna come out to about 3/4 of a gallon. So just put a splash in that in there, and then went ahead and got a new mixer out just to make sure no color got on it. So we'll pour the small portion in first. I didn't have this stuff try to dry on me like I did the other epoxy, but I wouldn't mix up a whole bunch. And this stuff does go on like kind of yellow, I guess would be the word, but it does dry more clear, sticky. So now I'm gonna get my drill, start mixing, and I'm just gonna kind of shake this in there. I guess it wouldn't be a bad idea to put a little more than they call for, because like I said, it's gonna fall out of solution. Be about right. All right, I'm gonna get this mixed, and then I'll show you what it looks like going on. Then I got a lot of work to do. It's 100 degrees in this shop. It is hot. All right, see, I've got it poured out of a pan. It's actually kind of white, but it will go on clear. My rollers don't want to roll too good. Maybe it'll get broke in. I always go to the bottom to make sure you keep stirring that sandy stuff up. So like I said, it's going on. It's obviously clear, so you can't see it, but just apply. I don't know about edging. I guess you can bump the sides because it's clear and it technically don't matter. All right, I'm gonna knock this out. This is spicy. Believe we're finally done. Got all the clear on. Everything's looking good. It's like, if I had to complain, the only thing, the clear coat, like, I don't even think the camera can see it. The clear coat is just very inconsistent. Some spots it's glossy, some spots it's not. But like I said, I'm pretty sure that's that solution falling out. If you was just doing it for the shininess, I wouldn't even put that in there. I think it would go on perfect. But this is a workshop, so once I get everything back in place, I mean, it's completely open. By the time you get everything back in, you won't pay attention to nothing. The only thing I am worried about is this line. You know, if you go back in the instructions, it said mix all your grays in one bucket and then do it from there. But I really think I've got a picture. I think it went on this color, and I think it kind of, I guess, cured and got a little dirty. because this has been out here for probably a month or so, maybe even 2 months actually. But overall, I'm gonna be very satisfied. It's gonna brighten up the shop a whole lot, especially like underneath the vehicle. It'll shine down, shine back up, so we're good to go. But like I said, if you decide to do it, look into this brand, do some math adding up, because like the stuff from Lowe's, I mean, I can't complain. It did pretty good for what it is, but if you really start adding, their clear was $200 a gallon, and I would have needed, I'm pretty sure 4 gallons, so that would have been 800. It would have added up, so just do the math. And if you don't believe me, go read the reviews on this stuff. I've actually got some epoxy left over too, so if I got to do any touch-ups or anything like that, got that covered. So really want my shop back to a usable shop. I've been dealing with this for months, been a big project. So yeah, I'm gonna get it straightened back out. Appreciate you watching. You probably won't regret it if you decide to do this. You are gonna scratch it, get over it, but it's gonna look good for the time being. So, have a good day.